Well, hello, my name is Richard Bienvenu. I'm with Notes on NewOrleans.net, Notes on NewOrleans.net. And I am with Muriel Mharie Macleod, who has written a book entitled What the River Washed Away. And let me show you just a picture of the book here so you can take a look at it. And this is Muriel's first novel.
Yes, it is.
And Muriel, now tell me how you pronounce your name.
Well, the middle name is actually pronounced Mharie with a V. MH in Gaelic is pronounced V. But of course, there's only 70,000 or so people on the face of the planet Earth that speak the Scottish Gaelic. So it's not surprising if people get it right or get it wrong. I'd be very impressed when people get it right. But it's V, Mharie.
Okay, well, I will remember that. So whenever I see a name with an MH, it's pronounced Mharie.
Yeah,
okay.
That's me.
So that's the way that I'll impress people when I see it spelled like that.
And tell them that's Scottish Gaelic.
Great. Well, Muriel, can you give us just a brief synopsis of this marvelous story that you've written?
Well, it really did start off with me being very perplexed, as everybody is, with the instances of child abuse that society seems to lurch from one crisis to the other. And I really wanted to write what it might be like for a little 8-year-old girl who's suffering in this way to speak. What her voice would be, what would she say, and particularly if she was in the kind of situation that, political situation and social situation that she was in. So the book really revolves around this young girl's journey from being a victim of sexual abuse, her journey through life, and how she de-victimizes herself, how she becomes a strong woman, and how she wins, and how she gets there. So that's really the briefest of synopsis. Of course, in the middle of all of that, there is turn of the 20th century Louisiana and all that went along with the lack of civil rights that black people suffered there, and the kind of living conditions that they lived in. So that's really it in a nutshell.
So now, how did you get the idea for the story? You say that the story is based on true events. How did you?
Well, it was really listening to some of the events that happened over here in the UK. There was one. It's not a particular person that it's based on, but it was. I started when one of the young girls in this country she went missing, and you know, everybody sort of knew that this is another child abuse victim. And what really made me very angry was in this country, I don't know if you've heard about it over there in New Orleans, but in this country we discovered that one of our newspapers was tapping her telephone. So when the mother and dad were ringing up to try to find this little girl, they couldn't leave, you know, they couldn't leave a message because all the messages were full up on their inbox. And then one day they ran and they could leave a message, and they discovered that this newspaper had emptied her mailbox. But of course, Mummy was thinking, oh my goodness, she's alive. She's still alive. And so that really was, that's the kind of real event, rather than knowing a little girl in her latest situation. That's the sort of real life event that made me so mad. I just said, well, I'm just gonna do something about this. And what can I do? You know, except try and make a victim a winner. So that, you know, it wasn't really based on a little girl that I knew who suffered like that. It's really a sort of pulling together of what it must be like, and moving that forward. I think the real life events are, you know, the lynchings that were going on, and I think by pulling all of that into the story, that's partly what gave it its political, civil rights feel that it has. But a lot of people were not aware that there were white lynchings. either. So, you know, it was based around all of that rather than one little girl that I knew.
And so, Muriel, so you were born and raised in Scotland, correct?
On an island in the Western Isles.
Okay.
A tiny island.
And how did you get this voice, Arletta, who is the main character of the story? It seems so authentic. I mean, how are you able to create such a character and have her narrate in such a way that deemed authentic with the cadence and the slang?
Oh, I'm glad you thought so.
Yeah, it was remarkable.
Well, being an islander, islanders always travel. They always go over the water, and I was one of those that left the island in the 60s and moved to London because that's where everybody was, so therefore that's what I did. But I have travelled the world extensively, and I think, you know, the thing about it is, Richard, you and I, and everybody in America and the UK, we have a lot in common. We don't just share a language, but that means a lot, because all the little idiosyncrasies, and as you say, cadences in speech, we kind of understand them, partly through the shared language, but also, I think, through the cinematic life and history that both countries have had. I cannot tell you how often I've seen Gone with the Wind. I've seen it over and over and over again. And, you know, I love Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, Alice Walker, and these American writers. And I researched it really and sort of checked my speech by, you know, I've seen The Colour Purple several times, you know, Go Tell It on the Mountain, you know, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and just listening to all of this language. I don't know, I'm just one of those people that feels an affinity with, I think, people who are so badly treated or unfairly treated. You know, I don't just feel it about what's happened in America, I feel it what's happening in Africa, I feel it what's happening on the streets of India. And it just so happens that America is the country I've gone to more than any other. I love it. And
did you spend time in Louisiana?
Yes. I would like to spend a little bit more time down in New Orleans. But actually, when I was in Louisiana, when I was driving around, I was actually trying to relocate another novel, yet to be published. I had this other story that might be my next novel, and I was trying to relocate that out of Trinidad. Trinidad was a country I'd lived in for some time, and there was a particular true life incident that happened to me there that I wanted to see if it would work somewhere else. Artists and writers do that sort of thing. You know, I was a painter to trade before I was anything else. I was a painter, and I was the kind of painter that would turn a painting upside down, see if it looked better, and it frequently did. So that's what it was the kind of thing that I was trying to do with this other novel, was trying to, who's about a black child as well. It's about a black child that I found abandoned in the bush in Trinidad. And I'd written a story about what might have happened to him. So here I was driving around Louisiana looking for where I could put him in Louisiana, just because I was turning the painting upside down. And there's a road actually up in north of Marksville, I think it is, I can't recall now, but called Sugar Shack Road. And there's I love the sound of this, and I love the imagery of Sugar Shack Road. And lo and behold, you know, when I started writing about this little girl, the voice, I mean, I was in and out of America at the time, so the voice that I heard, that's the way she spoke. That was the accent she had. And right away, I had the kind of place that she would be in Louisiana. I knew the river where she would be. I knew the type of river. I didn't know the actual river, but I knew where she was being placed. And right then I got Mambo. And I was particular about Mambo, not wanting to make Mambo a sticking pins and dolls kind of voodoo practitioner. I think there's a little bit more to it than that.
Mambo is Arletta's mother.
And her mother. Yes, who's a voodoo practitioner. So, you know, once I started to pull all that in, I was really amusing myself because at the time I wasn't a writer. So I was just sitting down, pulling in these fabulous images. I think as an artist, which is what my original career is, I was painting a picture. You know, the painting starts on the first page of what the river washed away, and the painting ends when you close the last page. And it's what I could put into that frame that would draw people into her world. So
it almost seemed, I mean, it almost seemed as if the book wrote itself. Is that
absolutely hit the nail on the head?
Once you got Arletta's character and her situation, because you have things in there, like at the end when you reveal a character that, you know, we don't know who it is, but you reveal who she is later on. You just at the end you tie all the knots together of things that seemingly were not as significant as they became to be.
Yes,
Oh, you know, and what's interesting, Muriel, is that when I started reading the book, I thought it was written by a black woman. I mean, by a black woman from Louisiana, and then because I had not looked at your bio before then. And
yeah, but I'm absolutely delighted. I mean, what an honor to have you say that, because I do sometimes feel that the Highlanders, the Scottish Highlanders, are the British blacks anyway. We were thrown off our land and we spoke a different language. So it's a huge compliment for you to say that. You know. And I did look at the language quite a lot, although it flowed. But the other thing I did, Richard, when I was writing it, I speak it all out loud. So you have this Scottish Highlander like me sitting alone in the office, talking in a deep South accent. But don't ask me to do
I would like to hear that. I would like to have heard that. I won't ask you to say that. But I would like to. Well, I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall to hear it.
Well, I would not like any flies to be on the wall, because I do sit there going, I ain't saying nothing on that. And you know, I suppose it's the actress that comes out, and because I make films as well, I worked in the animation industry, so it was great fun. It was although a heartbreaking story, and one therefore that came from the gut. I loved working with Arletta. To me, she was somebody. Arletta and Mambo were a couple of peers of mine that I worked with for a little bit over a year. We had this dialogue. We had this. Does this sound crazy?
Does it sound what?
Does it sound crazy?
No, it doesn't sound crazy at all. I mean, one thing I was going to ask you was how long it took you to write the book from beginning to end, coming up with the story and completing it.
Yeah, well, it was just over a year, which is quite quick, but I was obsessed. I would get up in the middle of the night and I must do this, and just get up and do it, you know. So it was, I mean, it was just one of those sort of projects that grabbed me, and a creative project that grabbed me. At the time, I had stepped out of film, and I was working in another arena. So this was my way of, I think, being very creative, and I think I do have a slightly obsessive nature. If I'm working on a painting, I am going to finish it. If I'm making a film, it'll be in on time and it'll be in on budget. And if I'm writing a book, I'll be pretty obsessed about it, you know.
Well, your book really grabs the reader. I mean, it grabbed me. And to be honest with you, the first 2 or 3 pages, when it was mostly Arletta's, well, it's all basically Arletta's voice.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get into the accent and the cadence. I mean, even though I hear it down here, but you know, seeing it written. Yeah. And then matter of fact, I read 3 pages and I put it down. I came back to it, I don't know, weeks later, and I started reading it again, and I got sucked into the story.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, I got to finish the story. I got to find out what's going to happen, and it's so and everything about it, there's nothing that seems contrived. There's nothing that seems unbelievable. It's all just it's really is a remarkable book.
Oh, I'm really delighted. Thank you very much indeed. You know, I think there's plenty more where that came from. You know, I have the backstory of all of the characters, and I got to know them very, very well. And you know, I would really, I mean, I hope it's successful so that I can carry on. You know.
Well, I hope this is successful too. I think it's a remarkable book.
Oh, thank you.
It deserves to be read by many, many people.
Oh, thank you so much.
It deserves to be a bestseller.
I hope so. And a movie.
Yes, absolutely. It's very cinematic.
Yes. Yeah.
And I wish you much success on this book, and also I'm looking forward to the next book that you put out.
Oh, great. Oh, well, we'll be in touch.
Yes. Let me ask you, where are you right now? Where are we?
I'm actually back in the Western Isles of Scotland on the island of Lewis, and I've just arrived here. I've just relocated to buy a house up here, and you know, see what happens after that. I just want to look at the sea for a bit. So that, yeah, that's where I am. And the internet connection can be a little patchy. I think we've proved that.
Yes, but I think it's
I will look you up when I come back to New Orleans.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You have my email. You got you can go on Notes in New Orleans and you can see what's happening. And I would love to sit down and talk with you further.
Yes, because I didn't have a lot of time in New Orleans, so I would need to spend a little bit more time there, I think. Fabulous, fabulous city.
Yes, well, I think so.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for this interview. It was wonderful talking to you. Again, I wish you much success with your book. And again, we've been talking with Muriel Macleod, who has written What the River Washed Away. Thank you very much, Muriel.
Thank you, dear. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.